6 months after the treaty signing, Princess Vela stood on the observation deck of the Azurian flagship Eternal Light. As it orbited Earth, she had insisted on making this journey herself. Despite her council's concerns about her safety, the first Azurian royal to visit the human homeworld. Amy Mason stood beside her, pointing to the continents visible below the swirling white clouds. "That part is called North America, where I was born," she explained. "Though I haven't been home in years," Vela studied. The blue planet so different from her own world with its purple oceans and white land masses. "Your world is beautiful," she said, "but so fragile looking." Amy smiled. "Humans have thought the same about Earth for centuries, yet it has survived everything we've thrown at it, including our worst mistakes." The ship docked with the orbital station Unity, a massive structure built through international cooperation as humanity's gateway to the stars. Vela and her delegation were greeted by Earth officials, led by Director Susan Hall of the United Systems Alliance. "Welcome to Earth, Princess Vela," Director Hall said with a formal bow. "We are honored by your historic visit." The formalities continued as introductions were made, but Vela found herself fascinated by the diversity of humans in the greeting party. Their skin colors varied widely, from very pale to deep brown. Their hair displayed even more variety in color and style, and their heights and body types showed more variation than Azurians, who were all tall and slender. Amy had remained by Vela's side throughout, acting as both guide and unofficial translator. Even though the translation devices worked perfectly, Vela felt more comfortable with the human she had come to consider a friend. The first days of the visit were filled with diplomatic meetings, touring research facilities, and formal dinners. While Vela found it all interesting, she sensed she wasn't seeing the real Earth on. The fourth night, she spoke privately with Amy. "I wish to see how ordinary humans live, not just government buildings and laboratories." Amy looked surprised but pleased. "I was hoping you'd ask that. I have an idea, but it might break some protocols." Vela had learned that breaking protocols often led to the most interesting experiences with humans. "What do you suggest?" The next morning, instead of the planned tour of a quantum research facility, Vela and Amy, along with 2 Azurian guards and 2 human security officers, boarded a small aircraft that took them to what Amy called a small town in a region named Colorado. The town, nestled among tall mountains, reminded Vela somewhat of home, though these mountains were brown and green rather than crystalline. The streets were lined with small buildings and trees with colorful leaves. Amy had arranged for them to visit a local school where children, ages 6 to 18, studied. Vela had been especially curious about human children since learning how long their childhood lasted. Azurian children reached physical maturity within 10 years, but humans took nearly 20 years to mature. The school principal, Mary, welcomed them at the entrance, looking nervous but excited. "The children have been preparing for your visit all week, Princess," she explained. "They have so many questions, if that's acceptable." Vela nodded, her 4 eyes blinking in anticipation. "I have many questions for them as well." The youngest children greeted them first, small humans with wide eyes and endless curiosity. One little girl approached Vela, directly looking up at the tall alien princess. "Are you really a princess?" the child asked. "Do you have magic powers, like in our stories?" Vela knelt down to be closer to the child's level. "I am a princess, but I don't have magic powers," she explained. "I help govern my people and represent them to other worlds like yours." The child seemed satisfied with this answer, then reached out to touch Vela's hand, her small fingers exploring the 6 digits and iridescent skin. "Is your skin made of diamonds?" another child asked. Vela laughed, a sound that delighted the children. "No, but we do have crystals in our biology, which is why my skin reflects light." The older students had more complex questions about Azurian science, culture, and politics. Vela was impressed by their knowledge and thoughtfulness. These young humans showed the same creativity and curiosity that Amy had demonstrated. During lunch, Vela sat with a group of teenagers who were studying astronomy. They showed her their projects and theories, some of which made Vela reconsider certain Azurian assumptions about stellar phenomena. One quiet girl named Lisa showed Vela her research project comparing different planetary atmospheres, including theoretical models for Azura based on the limited information available before contact. Her work was remarkably accurate. You have a scientific mind. Lisa Vela said, examining the girl's calculations. Have you considered a career in xenobiology? Lisa looked down shyly. I'm hoping to be selected for the exchange program to study on Azura next year. Vela made a mental note to ensure this talented young human received a place in the program, then turned to Amy, who had been watching with a smile. These children have taught me more about humans than all our diplomatic meetings. After visiting the school, Amy took Vela to what she called a community festival in the town square, where local people shared food, music, and crafts. At first, the townspeople kept a respectful distance from the alien visitors, but soon their natural curiosity overcame their caution. Vela found herself surrounded by humans offering her samples of their food, explaining their artwork, or asking her to listen to their music. She tried everything, excepting a sweet, frozen substance called ice cream, which despite its cold temperature she found delightful. A group of musicians invited Vela to listen to their performance. The combination of string instruments, wind instruments, and percussion created complex patterns of sound that resonated in unexpected ways with Azurian hearing. Your music is mathematical yet emotional. Vela observed to the musicians after their performance on My World. Music is primarily mathematical, designed to stimulate specific neural pathways. Lead musician, an older woman named Carol, smiled. That's what makes human music special. I think the mathematics and emotion are inseparable for us. As evening approached, Amy guided Vela to a hillside outside town where they sat watching the sunset paint the sky in colors of orange and pink. You were right to bring me here, Vela said quietly. I understand humans better seeing how they live than I ever could through official channels. Amy nodded. Sometimes the most important diplomacy happens outside embassy walls. She replied, the children you met today will remember meeting an alien princess for the rest of their lives. Some of them will become scientists, explorers, and leaders because of today. Vela considered this the long view that came naturally to her long-lived species, but with the human perspective of recognizing how powerful small moments could be in shaping young minds. Our alliance was formed because of Draxan aggression, Vela said, but I believe it will last because of days like this, understanding between our peoples. As darkness fell, the stars appeared one by one above them. Amy pointed to a particularly bright blue star there. That one is Azura's sun, visible from Earth without telescopes. Vela felt a strange emotion knowing her homeworld orbited that distant point of light. Our worlds are linked now, she said, not just by treaties but by friendship. Amy smiled, her human expression warm in the gathering darkness. This is just the beginning. Princess, the children you met today will someday travel to the stars, and when they do, they'll remember the alien princess who knelt down to speak with them under the stars of Earth. Vela realized that the future of both their species would be shaped by such small, powerful connections. Between individuals, the treaties were important, but it was these personal bonds that would truly unite their worlds. 3 weeks passed since Amy Mason arrived on Azura. The human had surprised everyone with how quickly she adapted to Azurian customs and how easily she learned their language without translation devices. Princess Vela found herself spending more time with the human than protocol required, fascinated by her stories of Earth. This morning they walked through the Science Academy, the pride of Azurian civilization, where the brightest minds developed technology centuries ahead of most other species. Your scientists have achieved amazing things, Amy said as they observed a demonstration of matter transformation, but they seem very set in their methods. Vela tilted her head, a gesture of curiosity. What do you mean? Amy chose her words carefully. They follow the same processes developed hundreds of years ago. They perfect rather than reinvent. Such stability is the foundation of our success. Vela explained, we build upon proven methods, rather than starting anew with each generation. Before Amy could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the academy. Red lights flashing along the corridors. What is happening? Vela demanded as her personal guard. Mira rushed to her side. Draxan ships, Your Highness. Mira reported 6 warships have appeared at the edge of our system. They disabled our outer monitoring stations before we detected them. Vela felt fear grip her heart. The Draxans had never been so bold as to approach Azura directly. How long until they reached the planet? 3 hours at their current speed. Mira answered, "The Defense Council has been activated. We must return to the palace immediately." Vela ordered, then noticed Amy was already using her communication device, speaking rapidly in human language. Amy looked up as she finished her call. "Princess, I need access to your communication array. My ship has defenses that might help, but I need to send specifications to your engineers immediately." Vela hesitated only briefly. "Give her whatever she needs." She instructed Mira back at the palace. Chaos reigned as the Defense Council argued about strategy. Amy had been escorted to the communication center, while Vela joined the council meeting. "We should evacuate you to the secure facility." "Your Highness," one elder insisted. Vela stood tall. Her eyes narrowed. "I will not hide while our people face danger." She turned to the defense minister. "How many ships can we deploy?" Minister Terrell looked grim. "Our main fleet is patrolling the outer colonies. We have only 12 warships currently in orbit. They are moving into defensive positions, but the Draxans outgun us." The door opened and Amy entered the chamber, followed by Mira, who looked both impressed and confused. "The human has an idea, Your Highness," Mira announced. All eyes turned to Amy as she activated her holographic display showing the approaching Draxan ships alongside Azurian defense positions. "Draxan ships use a predictable attack pattern," she explained. "They always target communication arrays first, then defense platforms, and finally, population centers. They believe their shield technology is superior, so they attack in tight formation." "How does this help us?" demanded one elder. "We are still outnumbered." Amy smiled, that confident human expression Vela had come to recognize. "I just sent specifications to your engineers to modify your defense satellites with human disruption technology. It will create a ripple effect in their shield harmonics." The defense minister looked skeptical. "Such modifications would take weeks, not with your fabrication technology." Amy countered. "Your scientists are implementing the changes now, but we need to adjust your ship formations to maximize the effect. For the next hour." Amy explained her plan using the holographic display to show ship positions and projected Draxan movements. Some council members objected to taking orders from a human, but as time passed, even the most skeptical could see the logic in her strategy. 2 hours later, Vela stood in the command center watching as the Draxan ships entered weapons range. The modified defense satellites activated, sending invisible pulses toward the enemy formation. Nothing happened for several seconds, then suddenly the Draxan ship's shields began to flicker, their tight formation faltering. Amy said quietly. The Azurian ships fired precisely targeted weapons, hitting the spots where the shields were weakest. 2 Draxan ships immediately lost power, drifting helplessly, while the others attempted to regroup, but their formation was broken as so. Battle lasted only 20 minutes, a shockingly short time by Azurian standards. When it ended, 4 Draxan ships were disabled, and the remaining 2 retreated, jumping to faster than light speed with damage to their hulls. The command center erupted in cheers as Vela turned to Amy, who stood quietly watching the display. The human looked tired but satisfied. "You saved my world today," Vela said, her voice filled with emotion. Amy shook her head. "No, princess, we saved it together." Human innovation combined with Azurian technology and courage. The defense minister approached, bowing deeply to both Vela and, surprisingly, to Amy as well. "I must admit my skepticism was misplaced. Human, your strategy was brilliant. How did you know it would work?" "We faced Draxans," before Amy explained. "We lost many ships learning their patterns, but humans are good at finding patterns and exploiting them." Vela made a decision that would change the course of Azurian history. She turned to the assembled council members and military leaders. "Today proves what I have believed since meeting Amy Mason. Humans may be young, but they bring new ideas, new ways of thinking that complement our experience and wisdom." She paused, making sure everyone was listening. "I propose a formal alliance with Earth and the United Systems Alliance, not just for defense, but for shared knowledge and progress." The council chamber fell silent. Then one by one the elders nodded their agreement. Even those who had been most skeptical. That evening Vela invited Amy to her private gardens once more, the 3 moons shining overhead as they sat beside the glowing fountain. "My council has agreed to the alliance," Amy. Vela said, "I will sign the treaty tomorrow." Amy looked up at the alien sky, her expression thoughtful. "I knew our peoples would work well together, but I never expected it to happen like this." The Draxons did us a favor, Vela said. Sometimes it takes a common enemy to forge new friendships. Amy turned to Vela. Hesitating before speaking on Earth, we have. A custom between friends who have faced danger together, we consider them family, not by blood but by choice. Vela was touched by this. Humans, it seemed, formed deep bonds quickly, another trait of their short lives perhaps. There is much our people can learn from each other beyond technology and defense. Amy nodded. There is Princess. I believe this is just the beginning. As they sat in comfortable silence watching the moons, Vela realized that her world would never be the same. The arrival of one human had changed everything and opened possibilities she had never imagined. The royal astronomers say the alignment of our 3 moons that happened when you arrived occurs only once every century. Vela said it is considered a powerful omen. Amy smiled. Then I arrived at exactly the right time, it seems. Tomorrow they would sign treaties and begin formal relations between their worlds. But tonight, Vela was simply grateful for the strange twist of fate that had brought this remarkable human to Azura. Princess Vela stood by the tall window of her royal chambers watching the 3 moons of her homeworld. Azura rise above the crystal mountains. Her 4 eyes blinked as she tried to calm her nerves. Tonight would change everything for her people, and for the galaxy. Her personal guard, Mira, entered the room and bowed her head. Your Highness, the human ship has entered our atmosphere. They will land in 30 minutes. Vela turned, her tall, slender body wrapped in traditional royal garments that shimmered with the light of 1,000 tiny embedded gems. How many humans are coming? Just one, Your Highness, the one called Amy Mason. Mira replied, her voice betraying concern about meeting these strange creatures. Vela nodded. She had studied everything available about humans since they had made contact 3 months ago. They were shorter than her people, with only 2 eyes and strange fur on their heads called hair. They lived short lives, barely reaching 100 years, while her people, the Azurians, often lived for 500. Tell the Royal Council I will meet them at the landing platform. Vela said, her voice calm despite her racing heart. The landing platform sat atop the tallest tower in the royal city, gleaming white stone carved. From the sacred mountain surrounded by gardens of glowing plants, the entire council, 12 elders dressed in ceremonial robes, stood in formation as Princess Vela took her place at the front. The human ship appeared in the night sky, a small vessel. Compared to Azurian ships, it descended with surprising grace, lights blinking along its hull when it landed. The engines hummed softly, then fell silent. Everyone held their breath as the door opened and a ramp extended to touch the platform. The human that walked down the ramp looked nothing like the fearsome warriors Vela had imagined. Amy Mason stood about 2 heads shorter than the average Azurian, with pale skin, and what Vela now recognized as hair tied back from her face. She wore a simple uniform with patches and symbols. Vela did not understand. Welcome to Azura, Princess Vela said, stepping forward. I am Princess Vela, ruler of the Azurian people. Amy Mason bowed deeply, showing she had studied Azurian customs. Thank you for your welcome. Princess, the human replied, her voice softer than Vela expected. I bring greetings from Earth and the United Systems Alliance. The formal introductions continued as each council member was presented, but Vela found herself distracted by studying the human. Her movements were quick and precise. Her eyes only 2, but somehow expressive in ways Vela found fascinating. After the ceremony, Vela invited Amy to the private royal gardens, where they could speak without the entire council listening. Your journey was long, Amy Mason said Vela as they walked among the glowing plants. 3 months in your ship alone. Amy smiled, revealing flat white teeth, unlike the pointed teeth of Azurians. It was long, but not alone. I had my ship AI for company, and plenty of Earth books and movies to study your language and customs. Vela stopped by a fountain that flowed with water that glowed blue in the night. Why did your people send only 1 representative? Is this not an important meeting for humans? Well, it is extremely important, Amy replied, but humans believe that sometimes 1 person can accomplish more than a delegation. We find too many voices can complicate matters rather than help them. She paused, looking directly at Vela, and I volunteered, because I believe the alliance between our worlds could change the course of history. Vela was surprised by the directness humans, it seemed, did not share the Azurian tendency toward formal speech and careful diplomatic language. You speak of alliance, Amy Mason, but my council remains unconvinced, Vela said. Many believe humans are too young, a species too unpredictable to trust with our advanced technology. Amy nodded her head. I understand their concerns. Humans have only traveled beyond our solar system for 60 years, while your civilization has explored space for thousands. We are young and we have made many mistakes, but that youth gives us strengths too. What strengths could youth possibly provide? Asked Vela. Genuinely curious, creativity, adaptation, determination. Amy replied. Humans face problems differently because we have not had thousands of years to develop set ways of thinking. When conventional solutions fail, we create new ones. Vela considered this as they continued walking, the garden paths above them. The three moons cast different colored lights across the landscape. My council fears the Draxan Empire will see any alliance with humans as a threat. Vela explained they have been our enemies for generations, always watching our borders for weakness. Amy stopped walking, her expression serious. We know about the Draxans, Princess. They have already attacked 3 human colonies. Her voice became harder. We lost thousands of people. This was news to Vela. The council had not informed her of Draxan aggression against humans. Why did you not declare war? Humans may be young, but we understand picking battles. Amy explained, we need allies. We need your advanced shield technology and faster ships, but we offer something in return. What could humans possibly offer the advanced Azurian civilization? Vela wondered. Amy reached into a pocket and removed a small device. When she activated it, a hologram appeared showing ship designs and weapon systems unlike anything Vela had ever seen. We call it adaptive technology. Amy explained it learns and changes during battle. The Draxans rely on patterns and fixed strategies. These systems disrupt those patterns. Vela studied the hologram with all 4 eyes, her scientific training allowing her to grasp the brilliant simplicity of the human designs they had taken. Different approaches to problems Azurian scientists had struggled with for centuries. The council will want to examine this thoroughly, Vela said, her voice betraying her excitement. Of course, Amy agreed, putting the device away. But first, Princess, I think you and I should get to know each other better. Human alliances are built on trust between people, not just agreements between governments. Vela felt a strange connection to this human, so different yet somehow familiar in her directness. Perhaps it was time for the Azurian people to learn new ways. As they walked back toward the palace, Vela made a decision that would change both their worlds. Amy Mason would not just meet with the council. She would live in the palace, learn their ways, and teach them about humans. It would be the first true cultural exchange between their species. The 3 moons aligned overhead, a rare event that Azurian tradition said signaled great change. Vela looked at the small human beside her and for the first time in many years felt hope for the future. 1 year after the historic visit to Earth, Princess Vela stood before the Azurian High Council, her royal robes replaced by the practical uniform of the newly formed Joint Defense Force. She had shocked her advisors by requesting active command of the first mixed crew vessel with both humans and Azurians. The council chamber fell silent as Vela finished presenting her case. I believe that leadership requires more than sitting on a throne, she said, looking at each elder in turn. Our alliance with humans has created new possibilities but also new threats. I must understand these challenges firsthand. Elder Zoral, the most traditional of the council members, spoke first. Your place is here, Princess, leading our people from the throne, not risking your life in space. Vela had anticipated this argument with respect, Elder. Our tradition also states that rulers must understand what they ask of their people, she countered. I am not abandoning my duties, but expanding my ability to serve. Our future will be among the stars alongside humans and other species. The debate continued for hours until finally the council voted narrowly in favor of Vela's request. Though with strict conditions, she would command the exploratory vessel, Harmony, for 1 standard year with regular returns to Azura for council meetings and royal duties. 2 weeks later, Vela stood on the bridge of the Harmony, a newly constructed ship incorporating both Azurian and human technology. The crew consisted of 20 Azurians and 20 humans carefully selected for their skills and adaptability. Amy Mason, now promoted to commander, served as Velas, second in command, a position that raised eyebrows on both worlds, but made perfect sense to those who knew their history together. "The ship is ready," Princess Amy reported as they prepared for their first mission. "All systems are functioning at optimal levels. The crew has completed integration training." Vela nodded, examining the status displays. "Our first assignment is to map the uncharted regions beyond the Cygnus Reach." She said any signs of Draxan activity are to be reported immediately, but not engaged unless absolutely necessary. The Harmony departed Azurian space with little ceremony, though many watched from observation decks as the sleek vessel with its distinctive blue energy signature disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Life aboard the ship quickly developed its own rhythm, humans and Azurians working together, learning each other's strengths, and compensating for differences. Azurians excelled at complex calculations and long focus periods, while humans showed remarkable adaptability and intuitive problem-solving, especially in unexpected situations. 3 months into their mission, the Harmony discovered an uncharted solar system with signs of advanced civilization on the third planet. Initial scans showed technology levels similar to early space-age societies. "This is exactly the type of discovery our mission was designed for," Vela said as the senior staff gathered in the briefing room, a new species at a crucial development stage. Science officer Lena, an Azurian with special training in xenobiology, reviewed the scanner data. "The atmosphere is breathable for both our species, but readings indicate the inhabitants have never encountered alien life. They appear humanoid, though with significant biological differences. Protocol suggests we observe without contact until we determine their readiness for first contact." Amy noted. Vela considered this the standard procedure for both their species, but something about the situation made her hesitate. She studied the long-range images of the planets. Cities' gleaming structures surrounded by lush vegetation sensors indicated clean energy technology and minimal pollution, unusual for a developing civilization. "I believe we should consider limited contact," Vela said. Surprising the officers, "Our scans show they have already theorized the existence of other intelligent life. Their art and science both explore the possibility they may be more ready than their technology level suggests." The discussion grew heated, with opinions divided along unexpected lines. Some humans argued for caution, while some Azurians supported contact, proving that the crew had moved beyond species loyalty to nuanced positions based on individual judgment. After hearing all perspectives, Vela made her decision. "We will send a small shuttle to the surface, a team of 4, 2 humans and 2 Azurians, to observe more closely from a concealed position. No direct contact unless circumstances demand." Itami selected the team members while Vela prepared the mission parameters as the shuttle departed. The Harmony remained in orbit behind one of the system's outer planets to avoid detection. The away team reported regularly as they established observation posts near one of the planet's larger cities. The inhabitants called themselves the Novan people, tall, graceful beings with silvery skin and remarkable artistic achievements. On the third day of observation, the situation changed dramatically. A massive storm system formed, suddenly threatening the city with devastating winds and flooding. The away team reported that the Novan's evacuation systems were failing, power grids collapsing under the storm's fury. "Thousands will die if the dam outside the city fails," Lieutenant K reported back to the Harmony. "The Novans are trying to reinforce it, but their equipment can't handle the water pressure." Vela faced the most difficult decision of her command: interfere and potentially disrupt a civilization's natural development, or stand by and watch preventable deaths. She consulted with Amy and the senior staff, weighing all factors. "This isn't about protocol anymore," Amy said quietly. "It's about who we choose to be." Vela made her decision. "Activate emergency transporters," she ordered. "Prepare to evacuate civilians if the dam fails, and send our engineering team with portable force field generators to the dam location. They are to remain concealed if possible. But saving lives takes priority over concealment." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, deploying shuttles with specialized equipment while medical teams prepared for possible casualties. Vela herself led the command team to the surface, establishing a hidden base of operations near the failing dam. The storm grew worse by the hour, winds reaching speeds that threatened to tear buildings apart. The Novan engineers worked desperately to reinforce the weakening structure, unaware of the aliens monitoring their efforts. When a critical section began to crumble, Lieutenant K broke cover, moving forward with an Azurian force field generator. The Novan workers froze in shock as the alien figures approached. One activated a device that created a shimmering blue barrier across the cracking dam face. Vela watched from the command post as the inevitable first contact unfolded. The storm had forced their hand. Now they would face the consequences. The Novan leader, a tall female with elaborate silver markings, stepped forward facing Kay and the Azurian engineer with remarkable composure. Despite the shocking situation, she spoke words the universal translators struggled to process, but her gestures indicated both question and gratitude. Kay followed the protocols for unexpected contact, identifying herself and explaining their presence, while the Azurian engineer continued reinforcing the dam with the force field. Technology Vela decided to join them, walking forward through the rain and wind to stand beside her crew members. The Novan leader studied her with intelligent eyes, noting the differences in uniform and bearing. "I am Princess Vela of Azura," Vela said. "As the translators began functioning more effectively, we mean no harm. We came as explorers and observed your struggle with this storm." The Novan leader placed her hand over her chest in what seemed a formal gesture. "I am Director Celine of Nova Prime," she replied, her voice melodic even through translation. "Your intervention is welcome, though your existence is unexpected." As they spoke, the Harmony engineering team successfully stabilized the dam, preventing catastrophic flooding that would have destroyed much of the city. The storm gradually diminished, allowing for more comprehensive communication. Over the next days, a remarkable exchange took place. The Novan leadership proving exceptionally open to the concept of other intelligent life. Vela learned they had long theorized about alien civilizations, their religious and scientific traditions. Both accepting the possibility, Director Selene showed Vela their astronomical records, centuries of careful observation, including several correct theories about star systems, including Azura's. "Own your people were ready for contact," Vela told Selene as they toured a Novan scientific facility, perhaps more ready than many other species at similar technological stages. Selene nodded thoughtfully. "Sometimes understanding precedes capability." She said, "Our technology develops slower because we insist it remain in harmony with our environment, but our minds have always reached for the stars." Before the Harmony departed, Vela established preliminary diplomatic relations with the Novans, inviting them to send representatives to both Earth and Azura when they developed suitable space travel technology, an invitation Selene accepted with grace. As the ship resumed its exploratory mission, Vela reflected on how this unexpected first contact had changed her perspective on leadership. Sometimes the greatest service came not from following protocols, but from making difficult choices in the moment. Amy found her in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. "You made the right call," she said, joining Vela by the viewport. Vela turned to her friend, the human who had changed her world. "I believe we did. But more importantly, we learned something valuable about first contact protocols." Amy raised an eyebrow. "What did we learn, Princess?" The final month of Princess Vela's command tour aboard the Harmony brought the mission full circle, as the ship received an urgent distress call from an Azurian research outpost near the Draxan Border Emergency Council session in progress. Elder Zoral announced via secure channel. "The Draxans have launched a major offensive against 3 systems simultaneously. We believe this is the beginning of the war. We've feared." Vela studied the tactical display showing Draxan fleet movements with growing concern. "They have never committed so many ships before," she observed, turning to Amy. "What do you make of their strategy?" Amy analyzed the patterns, her eyes narrowed. "They are avoiding direct confrontation with our joint fleets, targeting vulnerable outposts and research stations instead. Classic asymmetric warfare. They're testing our response times and commitment to defending minor targets." The implications were clear. If smaller outposts were abandoned for strategic reasons, the alliance would appear weak, but defending every target would spread their forces too thin. Vela made her decision quickly. "The Harmony will respond to the research outpost distress call," she announced. "We are the closest vessel with sufficient capabilities to evacuate." The scientists and their data communications officer, Trill, looked up from her station. Princess, we are receiving additional information. The outpost contains prototype shield technology that could be decisive if the Draxons capture it. The stakes had just increased dramatically, Vela thought as she issued orders. Prepare for maximum speed to the Azurian outpost weapons and defensive systems. At full readiness, the safety of the research team and their data is our priority. The Harmony raced toward the outpost, pushing its engines beyond recommended limits, the mixed crew working with seamless coordination. Born of months serving together, we will arrive approximately 20 minutes before the estimated Draxon force. Amy reported something. Doesn't feel right about this, Princess. Why would they commit so many ships elsewhere but send only a small force to capture valuable technology? Vela's four eyes blinked in the pattern that humans had learned indicated deep thought. Perhaps they don't know what the outpost contains, she suggested, or it's a trap. Amy finished the thought. They want to draw in high-value targets like the Harmony. The first successful joint command vessel would be a significant prize. The possibility hung in the air. As the ship approached the outpost, a small facility orbiting a barren moon. Tactical scans showed no Draxon ships yet in the vicinity, but energy readings from the outpost itself were fluctuating. Hail the outpost, Vela ordered. The main screen activated, showing the face of an Azurian scientist, his expression relieved but stressed. Princess Vela, this is Director Marin. We did not expect such a rapid response to our distress call. Explain your situation. Director Vela said we show unusual energy patterns from your facility. Moran glanced nervously off-screen. The prototype shield generator became unstable during our evacuation preparations. We are attempting to stabilize it, but if unsuccessful, we must abandon it. The research team is prepared for immediate extraction. Amy caught Vela's eye, something in the scientist's manner triggering her human intuition. Something isn't right, she whispered. The energy readings don't match shield technology. Vela trusted Amy's instincts after months of working. Together, run a detailed scan of the facility. She ordered. Science officer, focus on identifying any non-Azurian technology signatures. While the scans proceeded, Vela continued speaking with Director Marin, asking detailed technical questions about the prototype that only a genuine researcher would know. His answers came too quickly, too smoothly for someone dealing with an emergency science officer. Lena turned from her station. Princess, we detect Draxon energy signatures within the facility, specifically communication devices and what appears to be a large explosive device hidden beneath the primary research lab. The situation became instantly clear. We are breaking communication, Director Vela said, signaling for the channel to be cut. Activate defensive systems and pull back to minimum safe distance, she ordered. This is indeed a trap. The Harmony had barely moved when 3 Draxon warships emerged from behind the moon, their weapons charging as they moved to surround the Alliance. Vessel battle stations, Amy called as the crew rushed to emergency positions. Shields at maximum, first officer, coordinate countermeasures. The Draxon ships fired simultaneously powerful energy beams, striking the Harmony's shields from 3 directions. The ship shuddered under the impact, but the combined human-Azurian shield technology held return fire. Vela commanded, target their weapons arrays. Only the Harmony's weapons found their marks with precision, disabling the primary weapons on 2 Draxon vessels. But the third ship maintained its attack pattern, launching a barrage of smaller projectiles that overwhelmed point defense systems. Several impacting the ships. Hull damage reports flooded in as emergency teams rushed to affected areas. Engine efficiency down to 70%. Shield generator 2 offline. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. The situation grew more dire as 4 additional Draxon ships appeared on long-range sensors, moving rapidly toward their position. We cannot win a direct confrontation against 7 warships, Vela stated calmly. We need an alternative approach. Amy studied the tactical display, noting the position of the outpost and the unique properties of the nearby moon. Lieutenant K, plot a course between the moon and the outpost. Maximum speed on my mark, she ordered, then turned to Vela. Princess, I have an idea, but it requires precise timing. Vela nodded. Trust between them. Absolute. Explain. Quickly, Commander. If the outpost contains explosives, as our scans indicate, we can use that against them. Amy said the Draxons clearly expect us to either surrender or engage in direct combat. They don't expect us to head directly toward the trap Vela. Immediately grasped the strategy issue, ship-wide alert, all. Personnel secure for extreme maneuvers, she ordered. Then prepare to execute Amy's plan. The Harmony suddenly accelerated toward the outpost, catching the Draxan vessels off guard, their formation breaking as they attempted to adjust the Alliance ship. Streaked past the first Draxan warship, its weapons firing precisely at the enemy engines as they approached the outpost. Amy monitored the Draxan communications. We are being warned to surrender, or they will detonate the explosives at the facility. She reported. Perfect timing, Vela said with a grim smile. Reverse thrusters fire aft torpedoes at the outpost and execute emergency jump. The Harmony fired its torpedoes not at the Draxan ships but at the research facility itself, then activated its experimental jump drive, a technology that allowed for short-distance faster-than-light travel, even near gravitational bodies. The torpedoes struck the facility precisely where the explosives were hidden, the resulting chain reaction creating a massive explosion that engulfed the nearest Draxan ships, while the Harmony vanished in a flash of blue light, reappearing on the opposite side of the moon. The shockwave from the explosion, combined with the moon's gravity, created a debris field that confounded Draxan sensors, giving the damaged Alliance vessel precious time to make repairs. Vela moved through the ship, checking on injured crew members and assessing damage while Amy coordinated repair teams. The next hours would determine whether they could escape the remaining Draxan forces. In the medical bay, Vela found humans and Azurians, working side by side, treating the wounded, differences in biology, requiring creative solutions. Some human crew members had donated blood for their injured comrades, while Azurian medical technology stabilized critical patients. One young human engineer looked up as Vela approached, her arm bandaged, but still working to repair a damaged power conduit. We will have engines back to 85% in 30 minutes, Princess, she reported, then added with a smile. They hit us hard, but they don't know what this crew is capable of. This mixture of determination and optimism, so characteristic of humans, had spread throughout the ship. Even the traditionally stoic Azurians displayed a newfound resilience. When Vela returned to the bridge, Amy had compiled a complete damage assessment and tactical options. Remarkably, the ship's essential systems remained functional, though strained. The Draxan forces are regrouping, Amy reported. They lost 2 ships in the explosion and another is severely damaged, but 4 remain operational. They are searching the debris field, assuming we were destroyed. A plan formed in Vela's mind. Send a narrow beam transmission to Alliance Command with our situation and coordinates, she ordered. Then prepare for silent running. We will use the moon's magnetic field to mask our energy signature. For the next 6 hours, the Harmony drifted in the moon's shadow systems, powered to minimum levels as the crew completed critical repairs. Occasionally, a Draxan ship would pass nearby, forcing complete power shutdown until the danger passed. In the darkness of the powered-down bridge, Vela and Amy discussed what they had learned. The Draxans were becoming desperate, willing to sacrifice ships and set elaborate traps. Something had changed in their strategic thinking. They fear our alliance, Amy said quietly. They see humans and Azurians working together and recognize the threat to their dominance. Vela agreed. The Draxans had always relied on superior technology, but the innovative combination of human adaptability and Azurian precision had created advancements they hadn't anticipated. When sensors detected an Alliance battle group approaching the system, Vela ordered the ship to power up and break cover. The Harmony emerged from behind the moon, surprising the remaining Draxan vessels.